the Aborigines of Australia, the Zulus. You can go and look at different cultures and you will find the idea of this created, this being that is different from the creation, that is transcendent. This idea of this transcendent creator is universal in human culture, and the reason is because it is so fundamentally rooted in common sense. It's a common human experience. And so these things are not difficult to understand. The Quran, for example, poses a series of rhetorical questions. A rhetorical question is a question that is not supposed to have an answer. When someone asks a rhetorical question, they're not expecting you to answer it. In fact, the question in itself has an answer. For example, the Quran says, concerning or to those people who claim that there is not a God, that there is not a creator being who has brought this universe into existence. The Quran asks the rhetorical question, did it come from nothing, this universe? Did the universe come from nothing? That is a rhetorical question. Because it's obvious that you can't get something coming from nothing. As I've already stated, there is nothing in the totality of human experience that leads us to believe that you get something coming from nothing, or that you get order spontaneously arising out of chaos. Rather, human experience tells us that where we see things working according to laws, according to patterns, according to systems, laws and patterns and systems have been imposed upon that thing. Right? That's why if you were walking in the desert in Saudi Arabia, right, and you found a mobile phone, what are the essential components of a mobile phone? The essential components of a mobile phone are plastic. Does anyone know what is the base material from which plastic is made? Sand. No, it's not sand, it's petroleum, it's oil. However, there is something else that comes from sand, and that's the silicon chip. Silicon is in fact sand. Silicon chip, its base material is sand. So two important things. A mobile phone is made out of sand and oil. But no one picks up a mobile phone in the desert and says, look, a product of billions of years of chance and coincidence. Yeah? The oil bubbled, yeah? The wind blew, the sun shone, the lightning struck, the camel trod, yeah? And after billions and billions of years of these things happening, by an amazing coincidence, this mobile phone formed itself, oil and sand. And I pressed it and, oh, hi, Mum. What a chance and coincidence. Let alone that all these mobile phones talk to each other and you can send a signal, and you see how ridiculous it is. So common human experience tells us even something more simple, a piece of pottery, which is clay. When an archaeologist finds a little piece of pottery, he doesn't say, oh my gosh, chance and coincidence. He knows someone has made this. Someone has heated it, someone has treated it, someone has painted it. And in fact, this archaeologist could tell you so many things about that civilization from this one piece of pottery. He could theorize so many things. He could tell you about their state of knowledge, their technology, so many things he could understand from one piece of pottery. That is why the Quran keeps asking us, look at the alternation of the night and the day. Look at the sun, the moon, the stars, the winds, the ships in which you sail, the animals that you ride and that you eat. Look at yourselves. Travel through the earth. See how Allah brought about the creation. In all of these things are signs for those who are wise and for those who understand. They point us to one very, very obvious conclusion. That this incredibly organized, systemized universe and world in which we live, with so many intricately coordinated mechanisms. We find this symbiosis. We find how one thing relies and depends upon another, and we can think of so many examples. We can think of so many examples. You know, I remember seeing, until this day, when I was a little kid, David Attenborough going down a termite mound. Now, termites are little creatures rather like ants, and they build these incredible mounds of mud. So you can imagine in the equator, in Africa, extremely hot, and even in the nighttime, by the way, it gets really cold. Yet an amazing thing, these termites build at the base of this mound a series of rings out of mud. They build a series of rings. And also they have vents. And what this does is it keeps the heat, it keeps the temperature of this mound constant. It only fluctuates between a few degrees. And this also includes the body heat of the termites, and they actually have a certain place in the termite mound where they grow a certain fungus which they live on. They farm a fungus. These are termites. Now, these termites are not intelligent beings. They don't have brains. From where did they get this knowledge and this information to build such a perfectly, amazingly, intricately working mechanism? And they cooperate all together in order to do this. And we find these type of systems existing even between animate and inanimate objects. We look at our Earth. Is it just coincidence that the Earth is at an optimal distance from the sun? If we were in astronomical terms, and I'm not talking about 3 or 4 miles, okay? In astronomical terms, by the way, our galaxy is 100, the Milky Way, the galaxy in which we live, is 100,000 light years across. That means if you lived for 100,000 years and you traveled non-stop at the speed of light, that's how long it would take to cross our galaxy. And our galaxy is one of millions in the known universe, which is, I think, 10 billion light years across. Right? So can you imagine the type of distances involved in the universe? Right? So therefore, understand that our Earth, when I say it's in an optimal, I'm not talking about a couple of miles. When something is within a couple of 1,000 or 100,000 miles, in terms of the size of the universe, that's precise. Try and shrink that down in human terms. Imagine if you put that into terms, how precise. I don't think we could think of a mechanism in existence built by human beings that has the precision of the distance of the Earth being from the sun. If we were much closer to the sun, then our planet would be too hot. If it was much further, it would be too cold. So in terms of the distance from the sun, the Earth is at an optimal distance for life to exist. The size of the Earth also is important. If the Earth was much bigger, the gravitational forces would be too overwhelming. If it was much smaller, there would be not enough gravity. This is another point. How about the combination of gases on our planet? Not only oxygen, vital for the existence of life, but also carbon dioxide and nitrogen. It is this combination of gases. Pure oxygen is poisonous. If you breathe just pure oxygen for long enough, it will poison you. You need a balance of gases. We need carbon dioxide. Plants need carbon dioxide. Nitrogen is important for fertilizing the soil. Ozone, another gas. The ozone layer actually filters out the harmful rays of the sun's radiation. That's why they've been making a big fuss about the depletion of the ozone layer.